Steve, and we'll move swiftly on to Billy Hayes of the Communication Workers Union. As has already been mentioned, is about to move into a massive battle on Royal Mail privatisation, and I've heard Billy at other meetings be quite boastful about sometimes not having ballots and walking out on strike and nothing ever happened to him. So maybe we've got another example of challenging the government here. Billy Hayes.
Thanks, Linda, and thanks for the opportunity to address you here today. It's always good to get out and about, it's always good to talk to workers, always good to talk to activists, because when we're on our own, when we deal with all the problems in the world, there's a tendency, very easy in the times in which we live, to get depressed, demoralised, feel that there's nothing you can do, and just become much more atomised, as it's sometimes called. Well, Rob said, Bridgewater on strike today, as you know, most of us, and also, one of the reasons why I've got here a little bit late, our members in post office counties have just come from Holloway Road, they're on strike over pay and over what? They're on strike over pay and also what's happening to the post office network. Because the post office network is now separate from the Royal Mail. I'll come back onto that in a minute. But it was Jack Jones many years ago who said the renewal of the labour movement depends upon a trade union movement, depending on building new shop stewards, to build the shop steward movement. And if you examine the history of the predecessor organisation, the Transport and General Workers, that was Unite, that was one of the ways that Jack Jones helped transform the TNG that was in the 50s, was the bulwark of the right in the labour movement. So we agreed with the idea that we participate in the National Shop Stewards Network. We believe that's a key part of being able to build any kind of organisation. It can't be reliant upon people like myself. We have a role to play, obviously, the National Leadership Union, but also it's part and parcel of any movement, has to be the rank and file. But we also have to have an examination, a detailed examination, as to where we are and the problems that we face. If we look at, for example, what really sometimes called bread and butter, it's not a term I particularly like, because bread and butter is not a very stable, good diet, I can testify to, with some experience. But if you look at real wages, have declined since 2008. Yet dividend payments to shareholders at a record level with 79 billion paid in 2012. So it's austerity for us, but not for them. For the general public, the coalition shifted that austerity would restore growth in the economy, clear the deficit in public spending by the end of this Parliament, maintain AAA creditworthiness in national accounts, revive manufacturing, promote private capital investment taking place on public investment. Well, this is by their own measures, not our measures, Osborne's measures. Osborne told Parliament the economy would grow by 6%. Over 3 years, it's grown by 1%, that's stagflation. Far from clearing the public deficit in 2015, it will now be 96 billion. We all know about AAA creditworthiness has been downgraded twice. Far from manufacturing expanding, it's declined faster than the service sector. Private investors haven't filled a loss to the public sector. Private investors, you want to talk about strikes, I'll tell you where the real strikes are in this country. In company accounts, 777 billion in company accounts there being held idle by the banks. So we have to promote growth in order to overcome this recession and investment and recovery. The government won't leave us. They start to tilt this way now, a bit in terms of saying, we need to get, of the 576 projects that have been identified a few years ago, only 7 haven't been completed, and 80% haven't even started. So that's the kind of background. So we have to promote an alternative, expanding the economy, and that's the kind of issue, the kind of things that we're doing. But that's enough in terms of analysis. What do we do in terms of a fight back? Well, Lenin once said you have to be the sectors where other workers are organised. It's never completely hopeless if you're up for the fight and up for something that must be done. And that's why we're now on our fourth fight against privatisation. 1994 under the Tories, 3 times under the Labour government, and each time we've successfully knocked it back. And we now face a big fight in terms of the coalition government. So we decided, I don't think any other union has done this, so with a little bit of first time here, we decided to balance our members on their questions on pay, on privatisation, on non-cooperation, on a boycott of competitors' mail. We balloted them in the workplace, but the ballot was independently scrutinised, and we got a 74% turnout in terms of the returns. And our members voted 96% to oppose privatisation. They also voted 99% to reject, to look for a decent payoff from Royal Mail, and of course we're currently scouring the branch trying to find out what percent who voted no in that particular ballot. So we are for a fight, and we are moving towards a fight. But here's a little thing: our members in post office counters have not been offered a pay rise. So they're not even been offered a pay rise. But guess what? Within 3 days of that result being announced, we got a pay offer from Royal Mail. Are they connected? Our members vote 96. I'm being offered free shares and all the rest of it. Our members voted 96% to oppose privatisation and support the union's campaign. And in the little knowledge that they would be offered some free shares, and that's looking a bit rickety now. But they voted 96%, and then we got a payoff. Real payoff. By the way, I can't go into too much detail because obviously that's got to be communicated and shared with CW members before it's displayed anywhere else. But it wasn't, in pay terms, wasn't too bad. Near around about inflation, and it's a 3-year deal. Wonder why that was. Can't think why that was. That's because we started to fight them. But we're now going, it looks like we're now moving to industrial action on a range of issues, not just pay, on a number of issues that would impact on our members in terms of what privatisation would mean. But the terms being used, and in terms of the 24-hour general strike, I'll just come on to how that happened at the TUC Congress, because I think it was quite interesting. But actually, I'll deal with it now. See, there was a vote on the TUC, and it went 16-16. And in the best tradition of the TUC, they said we need further consultation. Whenever the left gets a little bit strong for the left, I'll put it that way, there's always a bit more need for consultation. And on the morning of Congress, the General Council voted to support the POA resolution. And I think that was a result of activities and pressure being applied in the unions that represented there. So there's always an opportunity, and there's always, so in terms of the general strike, but I think the real question to be addressed is this: how do we do it? So go back to Lenin's dictum, if you like, one step at a way. Linda was at the CW Broad Left meeting. She talked about a tour, right? We've now got two. We asked for a tour. We've now got 2 tours. We've got the Unite tour and we've got the TUC tour. But this is good. This is good. This is getting out and about and trying to find areas of common action. But the other thing, not well known is, but the managers in Royal Mail are Unite members, right? Now we've said to Unite, about 8,000. We've said to Unite, we know it's difficult, middle managers, and all the rest of it, how difficult that is. But we would welcome Unite managers at least ballot on the question of privatisation and maybe changes to pensions, because there's definitely. So you think of the potential there. We've got about 160,000 members that cover everywhere, from Land's End to John O'Groats, from Hull to Liverpool. Everywhere there's a postwoman or a postman delivering a letter. And imagine the potential of a postman or a postwoman talking about privatisation, getting engaged in activity. Because as you'll know, anyone that's ever been involved people emerge as if they suddenly landed from some strange planet. When people get involved in activity, their creativity is engaged. So we've already got the bus tour now. We've got us prepared for strike action in the autumn of this year, round about September. We want Unite. You know, we've got a good record on it. We want Unite to join us. That's a coalition of the will. And sometimes when we talk about these things, we get a little bit too up there. We need to be much more down there. And also, in summary, just to finish, you know, we need to have an international perspective, because sometimes we look and we go, oh well, you know, things are really terrible here, you know, and and we look at our own history. But when we look internationally, whether it's Brazil or whether it's Turkey, you know, there's hope there. But here's another thing. Moroccan Post, right? Morocco, our images of Morocco, you know, might be a bit coloured by the movie industry. 35 million people live in Morocco, and about 15 million people live in Tunisia. Those two governments proposed privatisation. And the postal worker, and this is only in the last couple of months, last 6 months, the postal workers in their country went on strike and they sheltered. The governments of the day sheltered. So we need to all the time. Yes, we need our historic perspective, but we also need, you know, our international perspective. And in closing, in these times in which we live, you know, if you think about what do people think about the world that we're in. What is the image that we're given of the world that we're in? But when I was growing up, there was a great TV show called The Rag Trade. Now, some people may remember, right? And in The Rag Trade, what used to happen, the management used to propose something, the workers used to oppose it, and the workers always won. And 20 million people watched that program. 20 million people watched that program. And the shop steward was a woman. Nowadays, what we get is The Apprentice. And what did he tell them in The Apprentice? How do you work it? Where? What they say in The Apprentice, they say, the way to make progress in work is pick on him, pick on him, pick on him, pick on him. Well, do you know what? I always think of Paddy, and that was the name of the shop steward, played by Miriam Carl. If Paddy was on The Apprentice, she would have said, Sugar, we've listened to what you've got to say, we're going on strike until our terms and conditions improve. That's what we need.